Hello, this is Stan, and welcome to the What It Takes studio. You know, whenever you're going to try and do what I'm going to try and do, which is to talk about a current event or something that is in the popular conversation, I usually say, can I say something that at least is a little bit different from what everybody else is saying? Well, perhaps I can. As I put out on one of the posts that I just posted, hey, I'm from Minneapolis. So was Prince. Big deal. Of course, lots of people are from Minneapolis. But here's the story that might be a little bit fun just to notice and then something to learn. I remember the day, it was almost the first day of school, when my daughter, who was quite young at that time, obviously just in the beginnings of high school, came back and said, "I'm the big star in Dutch school." Well, here's what had happened. We had just recently moved from the Caribbean, where we were doing some volunteer mission work for a number of years. And now we had moved all the way from a small Caribbean island to a small village and town where we were working in international radio and television just outside the big city of Amsterdam. Because my daughters had learned Dutch in their 5 years in the Caribbean, in the Dutch Caribbean, we put them right into Dutch school. And there they went. And here's what happened. Amy came back and said, "I'm the big hero." Well, not only did the class discover that she was an American, and that was something rather unusual for this small Dutch little village, but then they discovered she was from Minneapolis. And of course, all of them knew that Minneapolis was the home of Prince. That was what actually happened even then in that small little Dutch town. Minneapolis, Minneapolis, Minneapolis. Well, yes, Prince grew up in Minneapolis. In fact, I was quite familiar with the kind of youth group that he came out of, a place called Park Avenue Church, where as his growing up times, he was kind of involved in some of the youth activities of that church. And a number of the people who had done that work there remembered him as a child. And it's hard to believe now. I think one of the things that really surprised me, not only the very tragic passing, but that Prince was now 57 years of age. Oh my, where does the time go? Well, but then I read more and more today about something that I was aware of. Now, one of the things I have been teaching myself, and I talked about it in a recent class and course that I did on the Beatles, it was this: create lots of content. I was talking about this with somebody who was with me in the car as we were listening to the Sirius channel on Frank Sinatra. You know, Sinatra created a lot of content. And what I simply want to encourage you to know and to remember is even a person like Prince, who had an incredible amount of talent and could have probably gotten by with a lot less work, he put out a lot of work. A lot of very, very good work. And now, of course, as I would suspect, and perhaps now it's well known, that there are probably thousands of musical tracks that he may have recorded at Paisley Park that are just there. They're recorded. They haven't been published. They haven't been put out in public. It was part of his growing, part of his teaching, part of his mentoring of others, simply having a life full. Not only a life, but a work full of things he really loved to do. And you know, if you really love your work, you can do a lot of it. Peter Drucker once said that the primary cause of burnout was not overwork. It was over boredom with your work. That's an interesting point of view, isn't it? So, Prince produced an incredible amount of content. And we'll see what happens. Obviously, that'll be the point of conversation. But I just want that to sit on my heart and head, because sometimes, you know, I've got to produce a lot of good stuff. And sometimes it gets tiring, and sometimes you just say, is it ever going to make any difference? But I want to encourage you. Get into the studio. I'm going to be doing a class simply called turn your office into a studio where you create lots of great wisdom and insight and good things for your clients and your colleagues and for the community you live, work, worship in. Prepare yourself to be a prince in terms of the fact that you create a lot of good work. And so just kind of let that sit on your head and mind and spirit today, kind of your heart and your mind and your soul, and most importantly, your strength. I will follow the example of people who do what matters and make a difference. I will create a lot of good work. All the best and blessings to you as you do that kind of important work. I'm Stan Hustad, a ThoughtAbout, and that's a little bit about what it takes.